Tonight, you are not simply listening, you are stepping into a vanished world. A world where emperors wore not only jewels, not only perfumes, not only silks, but drops of rainwater sealed in rings, as if holding the sky itself. You don't know it yet, but tonight you will walk through Jahangir's palace. You will feel the gardens, the marble, the weight of silence, and you will learn why a single drop of rain was more precious than any pearl. This night will echo through time. You wake. The year is 1605. Delhi breathes like a great sleeping animal, heavy with dust and memory. But you are inside the palace, where the air smells different. You breathe it in. Rose water sprinkled on marble. Sandalwood smoke drifting upward. A faint trace of wet earth after yesterday's storm. Your eyes adjust. The world around you is not like the world you know. It is flat, painted with precision. Every wall a miniature come alive. Every corner patterned with vines and blossoms. You touch the ground. Cold marble, veined like a river frozen in time. It is dawn. Birdsong pierces the stillness. A coal repeats its cry from the garden outside. Somewhere, hidden by lattice screens, the women of the Zenana stir. A bronze water pot is lifted. A servant coughs softly. You sit very still. You don't belong here, and yet you are here. A curtain parts. Through it, sunlight spills like saffron milk. And in that light, you glimpse him. Jahangir, the new emperor, the son of Akbar, the man history will call both flawed and luminous. He enters quietly, as if he too is still learning the shape of his throne. His robe is pale, threaded with gold. His turban carries a single emerald. But on his hand glimmers something stranger. A ring, clear, simple, uncut. Inside it, water. You blink. No, not water. Rainwater. The light catches it. A tiny drop trembles. Imprisoned, yet free. You lean forward. Why would an emperor wear water? Gold could buy armies. Pearls could dazzle queens. But this looks like fragility. Like something that could vanish with a careless gesture. And yet, Jahangir stares at it as though it holds the empire itself. He raises his hand. The droplet quivers in its crystal prison. He smiles faintly, almost to himself. And in that moment, you understand. The story of this ring is the story of Jahangir's soul. The morning begins. You rise to follow him. Servants move like shadows, scattering saffron into the fountains, setting trays of figs and pomegranates, laying out cushions by the Jaroka where the emperor will soon appear for his daily audience. You hear the scrape of sandals, the rustle of muslin, the hiss of a peacock's call in the garden. It is all so close, so alive, and yet you feel suspended, as though you are caught between centuries, watching through a veil. He sits by the window. The empire gathers at his feet. Nobles in silk, generals in armor, clerks with scrolls tucked under their arms. Each waits for a glance, a word, a judgment. But his eyes drift to the garden instead, to the monsoon clouds still lingering beyond the Yamuna, to the smell of wet jasmine, to the memory of rain falling heavy and sudden, washing the dust from the red walls. He touches the ring again, as if to remind himself that he carries the storm within his hand. You remember something. You remember hearing once, in your own time, that Jahangir loved nature more than conquest, that he painted birds, recorded flowers, studied stones, that he was as much a poet as an emperor. And here, in this moment, you see it. This is no ordinary jewel. It is his vow. His reminder that even the mightiest throne is still at the mercy of the clouds. That power can dry to dust without water. that an empire breathes only when the sky opens its hand. The court continues, petitions read aloud, disputes settled, coins exchanged, but you feel it, his attention wandering, drifting with the sound of dripping water. A drop of rain falls from the eaves outside. You hear it strike the stone, software unnoticed. But to him, it is everything. And then he speaks. His voice is calm, low, almost drowsy, but every ear bends toward it. He speaks of the storm, of how the rain fell last night, silver across the marble, of how he stood alone at the lattice, watching lightning turn the river into a mirror, of how he caught a single drop in his palm and commanded it be sealed into a ring. The courtiers glance at one another. Some nod gravely. Some look confused. But you feel the weight of it, because you see what they cannot. This is no ornament. This is memory captured. You close your eyes. You can almost feel it yourself. The heaviness of air before the downpour. The sudden coolness of wind against your skin. The smell of earth rising sharp and holy. The first drop hitting your palm like a secret whispered from the heavens. Yes, you understand now. This ring is not vanity. It is devotion. The day deepens. The court disperses. You follow him into quieter chambers. A painter waits, brush poised, to capture a likeness of some rare bird just arrived from Bengal. A musician tunes his sitar in the corner, but still his hand rests on the ring. It glints when he lifts a cup of sherbet. It trembles when he turns a page of a manuscript. It shines when he gestures toward the garden. Always the same drop of rain, always the same reminder. By evening, the palace glows with lanterns. The air thickens with attar of roses, jasmine oil, sandalwood incense. But still, through it all, there is that faint scent of wet earth, as if the storm has never left. You walk alone through the garden. The fountains murmur, the grass is heavy with dew. The moon lifts itself slowly over the Yamuna. You pause. For the first time, you feel it inside yourself too. The pull of the sky, the quiet command of rain, a truth older than empires. When you return, Jahangir is seated alone. The court is gone. The musicians are silent. Even the servants has slipped away. Only the night, the moon, the emperor, and his ring remain. He looks at it once more, the droplet trembling inside, as if alive. He whispers something you cannot hear. Perhaps a prayer, perhaps a memory, perhaps only silence. And you realize you will carry this night forever, because tonight you have not just seen an emperor. You have seen a man trying to hold rain in his hand, trying to keep beauty from vanishing, trying to bind the sky to his heart. And you know, this story is only beginning. Tomorrow there will be questions of law, of faith, of rebellion, of survival. But tonight belongs only to the rain, only to the ring, only to the fragile, trembling truth that power fades, but memory endures. This night will echo through time. Before your eyes fully open, something burns your nose. It is not incense, not rose water, not sandalwood. It is dampness, the sour scent of wet leather left too long in the monsoon, the musk of garments drying too slowly on stone courtyards, the stale air of walls that drink rain but never release it. You breathe it in, too shallow, too uncertain, and in that breath you understand. This palace is not only marble and music, it is also moisture, mold, the hidden decay that comes with too much rain. You open your eyes wider. The ceiling above you glitters with gold, but in the corner a dark patch spreads, faint and persistent. The storm that blessed the emperor's ring has also seeped into the cracks of his house. A servant passes. His muslin tunic is damp, clinging to his shoulders. He carries a copper pot, and even that smells faintly of mildew. The fragrance of paradise is always shadowed by the smell of rot, and here you face it for the first time. The emperor enters again. He has slept little. You see it in the thinness of his eyes, in the way his fingers rub the rainwater ring, as though to remind himself that the night was real, not dreamed. But this morning his first breath is also sharp. He notices what you notice. He coughs once quietly, and for the briefest flicker, you see it. He is not emperor, not Jahangir the mighty, not the inheritor of Akbar's empire. He is a man in a damp room, weary from storms. The courtiers arrive. Their perfumes fill the chamber, fighting the sourness. One noble carries attar of musk, another of saffron, another of ambergris. They bow, their scents clashing in the heavy air. Yet none of them erase the mildew. None erase the damp cloth drying in hidden corners. None erase the truth. The empire may command jewels, armies, palaces, but it cannot command the smell of rain once it has sunk too deep into stone. And then it begins. A petition is brought forward. Not about war, not about tribute, not about inheritance, but about water. A villager, trembling, explains. His fields drowned in the night storm, the crops bent, the granaries soaked, the river swollen. His voice cracks as he kneels before Jahangir. Padshah, the rain blesses, but it also kills. The court stirs uneasily. No one wishes to begin Jahangir's reign with complaints of rot. But the villager's words cannot be ignored. You look at the emperor. He is silent, staring at his ring. The droplet shines innocently, as though mocking the suffering it represents. He lifts his hand. The court quiets. Water, he says softly, is both crown and chain. The villager bows lower, uncertain whether to weep or be relieved. You feel it inside yourself too. The paradox of rain. It perfumes the gardens. It fills the fountains. It makes the empire's rice fields green. And yet, it also sickens walls, rots food, spreads fevers, breeds insects. The same drop that sparkled in his ring is the drop that drowns a harvest. The same storm that cooled the marble left sores in the poor man's hut. The sensory shock strikes you now full and raw. You can no longer think of rain as only beauty. You step outside for a moment. The sun has returned. But the air is thick, wet, almost unbreathable. Your skin clings to itself, heavy with moisture. On the palace wall, a gecko drinks from a trickle that still slides downward. On the ground, ants march in frantic lines, carrying eggs to higher stones. And somewhere near the kitchens, you smell it. Rice, already turning sour from damp storage. This is survival, here in the Empire of Rain. Not only armies or laws, but the endless battle against water itself. You return. The emperor has dismissed the villager with a purse of silver. But you know silver cannot dry fields. It cannot save rotting grain. He sits heavily now, pressing his temple. He closes his eyes. And under his breath, he whispers something only you catch. The same cloud that blesses me curses him. You realize his struggle is not only external. It is within. He loves the rain. He worships its beauty, its suddenness, its gift of life. And yet he rules over men who fear it, who beg him for protection from the same storm that inspires his poetry. You see it clearly. The rainwater ring is both his pride and his torment. It holds not just memory, but contradiction. The day stretches. Everywhere you walk, you sense the unease. Maidservants wring out cloths that will never quite dry. Books in the library curl at their edges, damp from the swollen air. Even the emperor's parrots seem restless, fluttering as though longing for the clear skies of Gujarat. This is the empire beneath the empire, the silent tyranny of climate. And today, you cannot escape it. Evening approaches. You sit in the garden again. The air is quieter now, though heavy still. The fountains murmur, but even their water smells faintly of iron. You close your eyes. You remember the villagers' words. You remember Jahangir's silence. You remember your own breath thick with mildew. And you wonder, is this what the emperor feels every day? That beauty and rot are inseparable? That power is not the marble throne, but the patience to endure damp air without surrendering. Night falls. Lanterns are lit. But even fire cannot chase the smell of rain. The emperor appears again. His steps are slower. His hand still turns the ring again and again, as though testing its weight. He looks at you, not directly, no, never directly, but his gaze brushes you like a question. Do you understand now? And you do. You do. The rain is not only blessing, it is burden. It is not only beauty, it is battle. And tonight, in the thick, sour air, you learn what it means to breathe as Jahangir breathes. Your first task, stay alive long enough to reach midday. It sounds simple, but here in Jahangir's empire, beneath the weight of monsoon air, survival is never certain. You wake again before dawn. The marble floor beneath you is damp, as though it has been breathing all night. Your robes cling to your skin. Your hair smells faintly of smoke from last evening's lamps. You inhale. The air is heavy, sticky. It carries the scent of boiled milk gone sour, of wet wool, of turmeric and coriander crushed in kitchens where rats scurry. This is not the fragrance of paradise. This is the odor of persistence. You rise slowly. Your body aches not from battle, not from labor, but from the endless press of humidity. Every joint feels swollen. Every movement feels reluctant. You look for water to wash your face. A servant brings it. Brass lota filled with the river's gift. You hesitate. The Yamuna has been swollen for days. You know this water is alive with more than reflection. Still, you dip your fingers in. The chill is sharp, but the taste, muddy, uncertain, carrying the memory of buffalo hooves and village wells upstream. You drink only enough to wet your throat, and you wonder, how many in this palace will grow sick before the weekends? Food comes next. A tray is laid before you. Steamed rice, still faintly damp. Mango slices, overripe, their sweetness edged with fermentation. A small clay pot of yogurt, sour as the air itself. You lift the rice to your lips. It sticks, heavy. You swallow carefully. This is not hunger's answer. This is compromise. You look around. In the palace kitchens, the struggle is constant. Servants fan the hearths furiously, trying to keep flames alive in wet wood. Earthen jars are stacked against walls, covered in cloth to keep pests away. But you see it. Flies still land. Ants still climb. Rot still waits. The empire may be gilded, but rot never obeys emperors. And then, the eyes. Always the eyes. Everywhere you walk, you feel them on you. Courtiers watching, servants whispering, guards measuring. You try to hold yourself steady, to move with the confidence of someone who belongs. But inside, what if they notice I don't belong here? What if they see through me? You breathe deeper, but even your breath betrays you. It is too quick, too shallow, the breath of an outsider lost in another century. Still, you move anyway. Midday approaches. The emperor appears again. stepping onto the charoka to be seen by his people. The sun burns through thinning clouds, striking his figure with light. You stand among the crowd, pressed by the bodies of nobles, clerks, soldiers. The air is a furnace of sweat and perfume. A fly lands on your cheek. You do not move. You cannot. Jahangir lifts his hand. The ring glimmers once more. The drop of rain still trembles inside it. The crowd bows as though the droplet itself has blessed them. But you feel the unease grow deeper, because you know what the crowd does not. That same rainwater feeds the fever in the kitchens, the mildew in the walls, the sickness in your throat. You retreat. By afternoon, the struggle sharpens. The heat rises. Your robe is soaked. Your skin itches with the salt of your own sweat. A basin is brought to you for washing, but the water inside is cloudy, touched with soap nut that smells faintly bitter. You splash it on your face anyway. It burns your eyes. It leaves you less clean than before. You wipe your hands on your robe. The fabric sticks. There is no relief. And then the hunger. It grows sharper now. The rice is gone, the mango a memory. Your body craves something solid, something safe. But when food returns, it is no better. Flatbread too soft from the damp air. Lentils with a sour edge. Goat meat stewed, oily, rich. Too heavy for a stomach already weakened. You chew slowly. Each bite feels like a question. Will this nourish me or break me? You swallow anyway. Survival does not allow refusal. The emperor eats too, but his plate is not untouched by struggle. You see him pause at the yogurt, frowning. You see him push aside the mango. You see him drink water only after it has been strained through cloth 3 times. Even here in marble halls, beneath carved ceilings, on silk cushions, survival is negotiation. The hours stretch, the palace does not cool. The sun strikes the white domes until they blaze, trapping heat inside. Servants fan endlessly, their arms aching, but the air never moves. You feel the pressure in your chest. Your breath grows shallow again. Your head swims with heaviness. And inside your mind, the whisper returns. Maybe I am not meant for this. Maybe the gods made a mistake. You close your eyes. You imagine a breeze that does not come. You imagine clear water that does not exist. But still, you keep sitting. Still, you keep breathing. Still, you keep pretending. Evening arrives like mercy. The sun falls. The air softens slightly. The smell of jasmine drifts in with the dusk. You sit again in the garden, body aching, throat raw, mind restless. The fountains shimmer. The emperor walks past. His ring still glimmers. You watch him raise it to the fading light. The droplet inside catches the last flame of day. And you think, perhaps survival itself is this. To hold a fragile drop through storms, through rot, through doubt. To keep moving even when every step whispers you do not belong. Night falls, the palace grows quiet, and you collapse into uneasy rest. The marble is still damp, the air still thick, your stomach still uneasy. But you have lived through the day. You have endured the weight of rain and rot, hunger and doubt. And tomorrow you will rise again. For survival is not triumph. It is persistence. There is no room for weakness in this world, because even the unseen eyes of the heavens are always upon you. You wake before dawn. The palace is hushed, yet alive. The faint sound of conch shells drifts from far across the river, where Hindu priests greet the rising sun. From another quarter, you hear the call of the muezzin. Allahu Akbar, soft but insistent, threading the air like silver. Closer still, in the palace, a Brahmin whispers Sanskrit verses over a tray of marigolds, preparing offerings for the emperor's garden. 3 worlds, 3 faiths, 3 voices, all circling the same sky, all waiting for the same dawn. And you are in the middle of it. You follow the sound of steps. The emperor is awake. He walks quietly, his robe loose, his hair still uncombed. He moves toward the inner courtyard where a small altar has been set. It is not a temple, not a mosque, not even a shrine. It is only a raised stone platform, washed with milk, sprinkled with saffron, glowing with the soft fire of a single lamp. Before it rests a copper bowl, and inside that bowl, water gathered from the storm. He kneels. The emperor of Hindustan, the son of Akbar, the inheritor of armies, the master of palaces, kneels before a bowl of rainwater. He dips his fingers into it. He touches his forehead. And for a moment, his face is not the face of power, but of a child remembering his first monsoon. You watch in silence. A priest steps forward, whispering verses in Persian. Another recites in Sanskrit. A Sufi musician hums the opening of a qawwali. All around the words rise and mingle, not clashing, not competing, like many rivers feeding one ocean. You realize then, this is the emperor's true ritual. Not conquest, not decree, not coin, but gathering faiths like rain gathers in a single bowl. The ring glimmers on his hand. He lifts it, letting the droplet catch the light of the flame. The drop seems to breathe. It trembles as if alive. And then he speaks. Every drop of rain, he whispers, is a prayer that falls from heaven. The priests bow, the servants bow. The silence deepens. You bow too, not because you must, but because something in his words roots itself inside you. You close your eyes, and suddenly you feel it. The cool sting of rain on your eyelids, the heavy perfume of wet earth rising, the way thunder rolls like a drum across valleys. You are no longer in a palace. You are in a ritual older than marble, older than empire, the ritual of sky meeting soil. The emperor continues. He pours a few drops of the rainwater onto the ground. The earth drinks greedily. He smiles faintly. You are not just a servant, he murmurs. You are the offering. The phrase settles in you, heavy and certain. A refrain. A truth you cannot unhear. The morning unfolds slowly. Everywhere you walk, you see ritual. A court painter grinding pigments, whispering a prayer before the first stroke of his brush. A cook touching bread to his forehead before placing it on the griddle. A servant pausing to bow toward the sun before filling jars at the fountain. Every action here is devotion. Every gesture is belief. Even silence is worship. And you realize faith is not only in temples or mosques. It is in the way water is lifted, the way food is tasted, the way steps are taken. By midday, the rituals deepen. The emperor retreats to his private garden. You follow. Peacocks cry from the trees. Lotus flowers tremble in the pond. Incense curls upward, slow as thought. He sits beneath a canopy. Before him, on a silver tray, rests the rainwater ring. He removes it. He holds it in both hands, as though holding a relic. He whispers verses to himself, half Persian poetry, half whispered prayer. To hold rain, he says softly, is to hold the mercy of God. You wonder if this is belief or obsession, but then you see his eyes, calm, certain, not the eyes of a king drunk on symbols, but of a man who truly feels the heavens near him when he touches the droplet. And you understand. For him, the ring is not jewel. It is covenant, a silent pact between sky and emperor, between empire and cloud. As the afternoon wanes, music begins. A group of Kawals gather, their voices rising and falling like tides. They sing of divine love, of longing for the eternal, of the beloved who hides in every shadow and reveals himself in every storm. The emperor closes his eyes. The droplet quivers with the vibration of song, and for a moment you almost believe it will burst free, become rain again. The sound wraps around you, slow, hypnotic, each chorus heavier than the last. You are not just a servant, you are the offering. The words return, folding themselves into the music, into your own breath. Night approaches, torches flare, the garden shimmers with reflected light. The emperor rises once more, slipping the ring back onto his finger. The ritual is complete, but the belief remains, carried into his steps, his silence, his gaze. You follow him back through the palace corridors. Everywhere you look, ritual lingers. In the lamp lit before the Quran, in the garland laid before a shrine, in the small clay bowl left beneath a tree for wandering animals. This is the empire's true architecture. Not marble, not arches, not domes, but faith stitched into every gesture, every breath. And you carry it too now. The phrase beats in your chest like a second heart. You are not just a servant, you are the offering. You realize the truth of it, your hunger, your thirst, your survival struggles. All of it is sacrifice. All of it is devotion. And tomorrow, when you wake again, you will kneel not only because you must, but because in this empire, even the rain is worship. The empire does not breathe through marble alone. It breathes through order, through hierarchy, through law, and you are inside it now. At dawn, the palace awakens, not with song, but with steps, hundreds of them, bare feet across stone, sandals brushing carpets, armored boots striking against a polished marble. Each sound tells you something. Each sound declares rank. The lowest walk softly, eyes lowered, careful not to disturb. The middling tread firm, steady, rehearsed. The highest do not walk at all, they glide, their steps carried by attendants holding parasols, by servants scattering rose petals before them. Even silence here has a hierarchy. You are led into the Diwani Khas, the hall of private audience. Its pillars soar like forests of stone. Its arches gleam with gilt. At the far end sits the peacock throne, the emperor's seat, though it is not yet occupied. Courtiers file in, each to their appointed place. Nobles of Persia, Afghan generals, Rajput princes, Kashmiri scribes, Deccan ambassadors, all dressed in silks heavy with embroidery, each marked by color, by jewel, by the length of feather in their turban. No one sits where they please. Every cushion, every carpet corner is measured by lineage, by conquest, by favor. And you are at the edge, neither high nor low, invisible yet watching. The emperor enters. The room changes instantly. Men who were speaking fall silent. Those who stood taller bend just enough to show respect without surrender. Those already bowed lower their heads still further. Jahangir does not hurry. He walks with the slow rhythm of someone who knows the world bends around him. The ring glitters faintly on his finger, catching torchlight. To the courtiers, it is a jewel. But you know what rests inside it. A storm reduced to a single drop. A sky tamed into a circle of gold. They see ornament. You see covenant. He takes the throne. The court begins. Petitioners arrive. One bows, offering a jewel from Burma. Another kneels, begging for reduced taxes on his village. Another presents a book of Persian poetry, bound in emerald leather. Each voice is weighed, each gesture is measured. The emperor listens, sometimes nodding, sometimes smiling faintly, but always his hand rests on the arm of the throne, the ring gleaming in the lamplight. As if even as men plead, he listens not only to them, but to the water circling his finger. Then the law is spoken. A decree is read aloud, stamped with the imperial seal. Taxes adjusted, borders redrawn, punishments announced. The air thickens. You feel the weight of it, not in the words themselves, but in how they ripple outward. One line written on paper will decide how many children eat this winter, how many soldiers march, how many mothers weep. The law is not ink. It is hunger. It is breath. It is blood. And in the center of it sits the man who wears a storm on his hand. You notice something strange. When disputes are argued, when nobles clash with merchants, when generals accuse governors, the emperor sometimes glances at the ring before answering. It is quick, almost invisible, but you catch it. A flicker of his gaze, a pause in his breath, a finger brushing against the droplet. It is as if he asks the sky for counsel, as if he weighs not only the law of men, but the justice of rain. And when he finally speaks, the entire hall shifts, like a forest bending to wind. The hierarchy reveals itself not only in words, but in silence. A noble may plead for mercy, but if he speaks too long, the hush of others will crush him. A poet may recite verses, but if his metaphors wander, he is swallowed by coughs and shifting feet. The emperor need not raise his voice. The hierarchy itself silences those who step beyond their place. You realize then, power is not just decree. It is choreography. It is the way bodies lean, the way voices lower, the way eyes avert, and you are caught in it. A note inside an immense, unrelenting symphony. As the petitions end, the emperor raises his hand. The ring gleams. A hush descends deeper than before. It is not fear, it is recognition. They all know what it means. The emperor has decided. The storm has spoken. He declares that justice must be like rain, falling on all without choosing palace or hut. The courtiers nod, murmuring agreement, though you see in their eyes the quiet resistance of men who prefer storms that bend to their roofs. But none dare speak against it. The emperor has held the drop, and the drop has ruled. The court disperses. But hierarchy follows even into the corridors. You watch as noblemen walk faster, eager to leave before being called back. Servants scurry, heads bent, careful never to pass in front of those ranked above them. Soldiers stand like statues, their silence itself a declaration of loyalty. Even laughter here is weighed. Who may laugh loudly? Who must laugh softly? Who must not laugh at all? You feel the invisible lattice tightening around you. A web of rank and law, a map of who may breathe deeply and who may not. Later, in the quiet of the garden, the emperor speaks to you. Order is the only thing stronger than chaos, he says. Even rain obeys a law, falling, flowing, gathering, returning. He lifts his hand, the droplet glimmering faintly. This ring is a reminder, he murmurs, that even power must obey. You do not answer. You only watch the droplet, and for the first time you wonder, is this law or is this a chain? Is the ring a covenant or a cage? Night gathers. The court is silent now, the pillars shadowed, the throne empty. Yet you still feel the weight of hierarchy pressing in your chest. And in your mind, a phrase returns, reshaped. You are not just a servant. You are the law's offering. The words coil around you as binding as the decrees read aloud that morning. And you know, whether by sword or ink, by hunger or storm, the empire is built not only of marble but of hierarchy. And you are inside it now. The empire is not only marble halls, it is footsteps in kitchens, it is whispers in corridors, it is the hands that polish what others sit upon, and now you are among them. Morning begins not with drums or poetry, but with buckets. Water carried in brass vessels, balanced carefully by weary arms. The sound of it sloshing against metal is a rhythm older than dynasties. Servants rise before the nobles, before the emperor, before even the sun. Their work is to erase themselves, to sweep away footprints so that the marble seems untouched, to refill lamps so that corridors glow as if fire lights itself, to prepare trays of fruit as though orchards had walked here on their own. Their presence is everywhere, yet their names are almost never spoken. You follow one of them, a boy, perhaps 12. His hands are chapped from scrubbing stone. His voice cracks with youth, yet he speaks to no one. He carries a tray of rose sherbet. The glasses tremble with each step, and so does he. For if a drop spills, it will not be the carpet blamed. It will not be the glass blamed. It will be him. You feel his heartbeat through the way he walks. Careful, too careful, as if every corridor is a blade. Beyond the kitchens, you enter the laundry courtyards. Here, women bend over steaming pots, dyeing silks, rinsing cottons. Their hands are raw, stained crimson from pomegranate skins, blue from indigo, yellow from turmeric. Colors that princes wear in festivals first bleed into these women's skin. You watch one woman scrub cloth against stone until her fingers bleed. She dips them back into the water and continues. The cloth must be clean, even if she is not. She hums softly, a folk tune from a village she left long ago. The sound is barely audible above the hiss of boiling water, yet it carries. It carries through stone, through steam, through centuries. Not all servitude is labor. Some is silence. You are led into a chamber where eunuchs stand guard. They do not move. They do not speak. Their entire being is service. Their eyes are the walls. Their stillness is the lock. They carry secrets heavier than gold, yet none will escape their mouths. Even in silence they serve. Even in breath they obey. You wander into the stables. Here men rise before dawn to brush horses until their coats gleam like mirrors. The scent of hay and musk mixes with sweat. One stable hand leans against a pillar, whispering to a horse as if it were his only companion. He tells the animal things he would never dare tell another man, about the family he left, about the pay he has not received, about the loneliness that bruises deeper than labor. The horse flicks its ears. It understands in its own way, and you realize service is not only to the emperor, it is to beasts, to objects, to invisible order itself. As you move deeper into the palace, you notice the servants' world is made of corners. Corners of kitchens where they may eat scraps in secret. Corners of gardens where they may rest for a moment, unseen. Corners of corridors where they press themselves flat to avoid being noticed. Life for them exists in margins. The empire is written in marble calligraphy, but their existence is the tiny script between letters, the pauses between lines. One afternoon, you glimpse a quiet rebellion. In the kitchens, a cook sets aside a spoonful of saffron rice before sending the dish to the nobles. He passes it secretly to a boy who eats quickly, eyes shining with gratitude. It is theft, yes, but also survival, also mercy. The empire may glitter with jewels, but the jewels do not feed the ones who polish them. You sit beside an old servant polishing silver. His beard is white, his back bent, his eyes clouded. Yet his hands move with memory, rubbing circles into the metal until it shines. He does not look up as he speaks. I have served 3 emperors. I've seen victories, marriages, funerals, festivals. But I've always been here. My name is not written. But my hands are in every shine you see. He holds the silver up, and for a moment you glimpse your own reflection. Not clear, not whole, but rippled, faint, like the reflection of a face in water. You realize then the empire survives not because of thrones, but because of these hands. Invisible, endless. Evening falls. The nobles dine on jeweled platters. You hear music in distant halls, but you are not with them. You are in the kitchens where servants lick the bottoms of pots, sharing what scraps remain. A spoonful of lentils, a crust of bread, a sip of watered wine left behind. They laugh softly, exchanging stories in whispers, not of emperors, not of wars, but of rain in their villages, of children left behind, of small dreams carried quietly in their hearts. You feel something here that you did not feel in the throne room, something softer, something more human. It is not power, it is endurance. Night gathers. Servants lie on mats in corridors, curling against walls for warmth. Some sleep sitting, their backs against doors they guard. Others lie awake, staring at ceilings, their thoughts drifting to places they may never see again. And still, even in sleep, they serve. If the emperor calls, they must rise. If the bell rings, they must run. Their dreams are borrowed. Their rest is conditional. Their lives are not their own. You think of the emperor's ring, the drop of rain encased in gold. How strange that he wears the sky itself on his finger, while so many here cannot even drink water without permission. How strange that one droplet becomes a symbol of power, while thousands of others fall unseen, swallowed into earth, forgotten. You wonder who serves whom. Does the emperor wear the ring, or does the ring wear him? Do servants obey the master, or is the master held aloft only by the servant's endless hands? The questions twist like smoke in your chest. The empire sleeps, but you do not. You walk through corridors lit by dying lamps, your footsteps echoing softly. Everywhere you turn, you see them. Bent backs, tired faces, hands moving in endless cycles. The marble shines because they polish it. The gardens bloom because they water them. The empire endures because they endure. And you carry their weight in your chest now, a heaviness that will not lift. For you are not only witness, you are participant. You too are bound by servitude, even if invisible. And you know, you will not forget. The empire is not only marble and silk, it is breath and silence. It is smoke rising from incense. It is the shiver that runs through your spine when you step into a dream. And tonight, you enter that dream. The palace at night is quieter than a grave. Even fountains sleep. The only sound is the sigh of wind moving through carved jolly screens. You follow it, past gardens silvered by moonlight, past watchful guards who look but do not see you, toward a chamber where the emperor himself sits awake, not with ministers, not with queens, but with shadows. Jahangir is a man of contradictions, a ruler with armies at his command, yet a dreamer who waits for visions to guide him. He does not only wear rainwater in his ring, he wears dreams in his heart. You sit with him. Before him lies a parchment. Its ink glows faint under the lamp. It is not a royal decree. It is a record of his dreams. He writes them as carefully as treaties, for to him a dream is not idle sleep. It is counsel. It is prophecy. It is a message from somewhere beyond power. He tells you softly, "In sleep I am not emperor. In sleep I am only witness. And sometimes, what I witness frightens me more than any war." You lean closer. He describes a dream. A river, endless, with waters black as ink. On its surface float jewels, but each jewel dissolves when touched. At the far end stands a figure in white. The face cannot be seen. The voice cannot be heard. But the presence is undeniable. When he awoke, his heart trembled. Not from fear, but from awe. He asks you, "What is it that I saw?" You cannot answer, but you feel it, the way dreams carry truths that words cannot. The emperor is not alone in seeking meaning. Astrologers sit nearby, their tables crowded, with charts, compasses, and planetary diagrams. They mutter calculations under their breath, their fingers stained with ink and ash. One of them raises his head and whispers, "Jupiter rises in strength tonight." It is a sign of expansion, of wisdom or conquest. But beware Mars, for its fire burns too hot. The emperor listens, his face lit by flame and doubt alike. You watch him weigh planets against armies, stars against ministers, celestial fire against human ambition, and you realize the empire is not only governed by laws, it is governed by orbits, by constellations, by the secret rhythm of the sky. Not far from the astrologers sit Sufis. Their robes are plain, their eyes ablaze. They do not look at charts, they look inward. One of them holds a small cup of wine. He swirls it as if it were the universe itself. He speaks not to the emperor, but to the silence around him. The stars may guide, but the heart is its own sky. Look within, and you will see constellations brighter than any above. The astrologers scoff, the emperor frowns, but you feel the truth in his words. The heart is the sky, and dreams are its constellations. Later, you are led into a courtyard. A fakir sits cross-legged on bare stone, a fire burning before him. He does not bow to emperors. He does not ask permission to speak. He simply lifts a coal from the fire, places it on his tongue, and swallows. Gasps echo, but he remains unburned. His eyes meet yours, steady, ancient. He says, "The body is illusion. Only the soul is real, and the soul is not bound by thrones." You feel the night deepen around you. The palace seems suddenly fragile, like a shell that could crack at any moment. For here, in this courtyard, power feels meaningless. As the hours stretch, dreams seem to bleed into waking life. The emperor retires to his chamber. Incense smolders. You lie near the jolly screen, your eyes closing against your will, and then you dream too. You dream of rain, a single droplet falling in slow motion. It lands not on earth, not on stone, but on a ring. The ring shatters, the droplet remains, and you awaken with a start. The emperor is awake too, watching you. His eyes widen as if he knows what you saw, as if your dream belongs to him, and his to you. The night deepens into silence. Astrologers pack their charts. Sufis fade into corridors. The fakir vanishes like smoke. Even the emperor retreats into rest. But you remain. The palace no longer feels solid. It feels like a dream itself. Walls and gardens and marble all suspended in someone else's sleep. You wonder whose dream this is. The emperor's, yours, or history's itself? The question lingers like incense in your lungs. And you know. You will carry this night forever. Dawn arrives not with sound, but with fragrance. The gardens breathe before you, damp earth, crushed grass, the sweetness of night blooming jasmine fading into memory. You open your eyes, and the world itself seems awake. It is not a palace today, not marble, not chamber, not throne. Yeah, I remember. It is wilderness. And yet, the emperor rules here too. For this is his Shikarga, a hunting ground, yes, but also a temple of nature. You walk beneath tamarind trees. Their branches twist like arms raised in prayer. Parakeets scatter in sudden bursts of green. Monkeys leap across branches, their calls echoing like laughter. And then you see him, Jahangir, seated not on a throne, but on a simple carpet beneath the trees. His eyes are not on ministers, nor on maps. They are on a deer grazing quietly. At the edge of the clearing, he does not reach for a bow. He only watches, as though the deer itself were scripture. For Jahangir, the hunt is not blood. It is communion. He once wrote, "The world is a book, and animals are its letters. To read them is to know creation." And you believe him. Because as you follow him deeper into the forest, the animals seem to reveal themselves to him. Not in fear, but in recognition. You come upon a stag. Its antlers are wide as branches, its breath heavy in the morning mist. The emperor lifts his hand. The stag freezes, not with terror, but as though answering a silent call. You feel it too. The fragile bridge between human and beast. The recognition that life is mirrored, soul to soul. Later, a falcon descends. Its wings cut the air, sharp as scimitars. It lands on the emperor's gloved hand. He whispers to it, not in words you understand, but in sounds that are half language, half breath. The bird tilts its head as though listening, and for a moment you feel that man and bird share the same sky. But not all is peace. Beyond the trees, hunters wait, their quivers heavy, their elephants restless. They hunger for trophies, for skins, for horns to mount on palace walls. And yet, even in this, the emperor is paradox, for he hunts and he protects. He slays and he saves. He orders animals painted in their likeness, documented with precision, not for vanity, but for preservation. If the creature dies, its image will live, a library of fur and feather, ink and pigment for future eyes to witness. You are led into a tent within the forest. Here painters sit cross-legged, brushes fine as whiskers in their hands. Before them lies a dead lion, majestic still, though its breath has gone. They do not mourn aloud. Instead, they immortalize. Each stroke of the brush turns muscle into memory, flesh into eternity. When they finish, the lion will never truly die. The emperor shows you another painting. A turkey, foreign, strange, its feathers spread in shimmering display. It is not native to Hindustan. It has traveled oceans, crossed continents, to be gazed upon by this emperor. And now, captured on paper, it belongs not to a place, but to time itself. You wander further into wetlands where cranes stand still as statues. Their reflections tremble in water. One takes flight, its wings scattering droplets like diamonds. The emperor smiles. He turns to you. See how the heavens echo in their flight. Each bird is a verse of praise. And you understand, this is not hunting ground. This is scripture written in feathers. Night falls in the wilderness. The emperor remains among the animals. A leopard prowls at the edge of firelight, its eyes burning gold. The emperor does not move, nor does the beast. For a moment, you feel the world balanced on this silent exchange. Predator and ruler, both dangerous, both majestic, both bound by an unseen thread. Then the leopard turns and vanishes into the dark. The forest quiets, stars emerge. You lie on the earth, your head against its breathing heart. And as you drift toward sleep, you dream of animals not as separate beings, but as extensions of yourself. You are the stag, antlers branching into thought. You are the falcon, eyes sharp, heart fierce. You are the leopard, moving silent through shadows. And you are human too, fragile, fleeting, but aware. Awareness itself is the bond, and in that bond, the empire breathes. The palace is not silent. Even when its corridors whisper like stone, there is always another sound beneath. A murmur of voices, a shuffle of sandals, a breath too carefully drawn. Politics is not thunder here. It is mist, thin, invisible yet everywhere. You walk across marble floors polished with rosewater. Your footsteps echo lightly, but others fade quickly as if afraid to be heard. This is not wilderness now, it is court, a place where silence is never emptiness, but calculation. You enter the Diwani Khas, the hall of private audience. It gleams like dawn trapped in stone. Pillars rise, their capitals carved like blooming lotuses. Above, delicate tracery filters the light, breaking it into fragments as though truth itself were shattered here. On the throne sits Jahangir. But look closely. The power does not rest only on his shoulders. It lingers like perfume around those who stand beside him. She enters, Noor Jahan. Her steps are measured, but her presence moves faster than sound. She does not need to speak to command attention. Even the courtiers, clad in silks of every shade, bow their heads as her shadow passes. Her eyes are not ornaments. They are instruments. They weigh, measure, pierce. And in those eyes, the empire rearranges itself. You feel it. The pull of invisible threads. Ministers aligned, generals hesitant, scribes sharpening their pens, not with ink, but with caution. Noor Jahan sits near the emperor. A gesture, subtle, barely visible, and a name rises, a fate sealed. A nod, and a man's fortunes vanish. It is not thunder. It is mist, and yet mist blinds more than storm. At the edges of the hall, you hear whispers. One courtier. She is too powerful. Another. She is the empire's spine. A third only shakes his head. Fear is a language too. The emperor speaks. His voice is steady, but his words float between judgment and persuasion. For even Jahangir, lion though he may be, must share his throne with shadows. And Noor Jahan is no shadow. She is fire disguised as silk. Later, you walk through a smaller chamber. Here, politics sharpens into intrigue. A prince lingers, restless, pacing. His ambitions burn, but so too does his hesitation. His eyes betray it. The hunger to rule, the fear of overreaching. Others surround him, feeding him words like poison sweets. Your time will come. Why should you wait? Power is not inherited, it is taken. The air is thick with temptation. You stand there, silent, witness to the fragile balance. In the women's quarters, another theater unfolds. It is not marble, but muslin curtains that veil this stage. Whispers traded like secrets. Gifts exchanged as promises. Alliances stitched in embroidery threads. Here too, politics breathes. Not in decrees, but in lullabies, in glances across perfumed lamps. Even the act of pouring tea becomes a gesture of allegiance. The empire is not built on stone alone. It is woven of these invisible ties. And you, walking silently through halls and chambers, begin to feel their weight, heavier than swords, sharper than arrows. Night comes, the court empties, but intrigue does not sleep. By lamplight, a scribe copies a decree. By moonlight, a servant carries a message across gardens. By candle, a noble plots his next move, whispering into shadows as though they might answer. The empire does not rest. It shifts, breathes, plots, dreams. And you drift with it, sometimes weightless, sometimes drowning. The marble floors grow cold beneath your feet. The tapestries lean closer, their woven flowers listening. You realize you are not merely in a palace. You are inside a living creature. Its heartbeat is politics, its breath intrigue. Every gesture, every whisper, every silence is part of its pulse. The emperor sleeps, the queen watches, the princes dream uneasy dreams, the courtiers count their fates, and you lie awake, carried by the hum of unseen power. Like a moth circling the flame, the court is a lantern, beautiful, dangerous, inescapable. The empire is not only thrones and jewels, it breathes also in clay cups, in kites above rooftops, in children's laughter echoing through narrow lanes. If the court is thunder, the city is rain. You wake to the sound of bells. Not temple bells alone, not the call of prayer alone, but a chorus. The city's own voice, welcoming dawn. The bazaar stirs early. Caravans arrive at its edges, unloading saffron, indigo, copper bowls that shine like trapped suns. You walk through streets that weave like fabric. Every turning opens to another world. A perfume seller grinding rose petals, his fingers stained red. A sweet maker shaping sugar into parrots that sparkle in children's eyes. A calligrapher hunched over parchment, each stroke of his reed pen like a prayer. But today there is more. Today is festival. You can feel it in the air, thicker than incense, brighter than silk. The emperor may sit in marble halls, but here, in streets and gardens, the empire celebrates itself. You see kites first, dozens, then hundreds, the sky a battlefield of colors. Children shout, their voices sharp as drums. Each string pulled, twisted, snapped. A kite falls, and laughter ripples through rooftops. Above you, the sky is no longer sky. It is a canvas, painted anew by every gust of wind. Drums beat from the square. You follow them. Dancers swirl, ankle bells ringing like silver rain. Their skirts bloom, spinning red, green, gold. Every movement both ancient and new, as though time itself bends to watch. Musicians sit in a circle. A qawwal begins, his voice low at first, then rising, lifting hearts with it. Clapping hands mark rhythm, voices join, and suddenly the crowd is one body, breathing, swaying, dissolving into song. You are pressed by people on every side, merchants, pilgrims, soldiers, beggars. But here there is no rank, only rhythm, only joy. Even the beggar claps, even the noble hums. In this moment, festival erases walls. Later, in gardens, another celebration blooms. Tulips line the walkways, their colors sharper in for a spring light. Children chase each other around fountains. Women sit in clusters beneath pavilions, trading verses, embroidering shawls with threads like starlight. A boy dips his hand in the pool, lifts water to the sun, watching how it turns to silver in his palm. Somewhere nearby, a storyteller begins. His voice carries like smoke, and suddenly dozens gather, eyes wide, minds wandering, where his words take them. You too pause, caught by the current of his tale. The city speaks through him. Evening descends, but the festival is not done. Torches flare. The bazaar glitters as though stars have fallen to earth. Spices glow in pyramids. Silks gleam like rivers. Every stall, a universe. You sip warm milk flavored with saffron and pistachio. The taste clings to your tongue, sweet, golden, slow. Children run with sparklers, their laughter trailing like sparks. Above, kites still fly, but now lanterns rise too. Paper globes lit by flame, drifting higher, higher, as though the city is sending its prayers to the heavens. And you, standing in the middle of it all, feel as if you are not merely watching, you are being carried, lifted, folded into the heartbeat of a people. This is empire too, not in swords or decrees, but in laughter, music, shared bread, shared fire. The festival lingers into night. You lie back on cool stone, the sky filled with drifting lanterns, like golden birds set free. The city hums around you, alive, endless. And as your eyes grow heavy, you realize power may sit on thrones, but life, life dances here, in the streets, in the voices, in the small, bright things that never fade. The night is hushed, but not silent. Far from marble halls, beyond the chatter of bazaars, you walk toward another kind of throne, not built of jewels, but of devotion. The dargah waits. You approach through narrow lanes. The air is thick with fragrance, rose petals crushed underfoot, sandalwood smoke curling through latticed windows. Every turn brings a sound, a murmur of prayer, a hand striking a drum, a whisper of a hymn carried on wind. By the time you reach the gate, you feel as though you are entering not a place, but a heartbeat. The courtyard glows. Dozens of lamps sway. In the night breeze, their flames trembling but unbroken. Men and women press against whitewashed walls, heads bowed, eyes wet. The shrine itself gleams, its dome a pale pearl, its doorway draped in green silks embroidered with gold. A caretaker scatters rose petals in silence. They fall like small prayers, resting on stone, worn smooth by centuries of touch. You step closer, and suddenly the music begins. Not loud, not urgent, but steady. A tabla's thump, a harmonium sigh, then voices rising, like the call of birds before dawn. The qawwals sit cross-legged, eyes closed, hands striking rhythm on their knees. Their voices climb, circle, descend, rise again, as though they seek a stairway between earth and sky. The crowd sways, soft at first, then deeper. Every head nods, every chest moves with the same unseen tide. You close your eyes. The words are Persian, Urdu, Arabic, but meaning dissolves into feeling. You don't need to translate longing. You don't need to explain love. The voices weave around you, pulling you into currents older than kings, older than empire. A man near you begins to weep. Another lifts his hands high. A woman rocks gently, her lips moving silently with the chorus. The night deepens. The music intensifies. Drums quicken, hands clap sharper, voices break open, until it seems the shrine itself is singing. You feel heat in your chest, tears at the edge of your eyes. Not sadness, not joy. Something vast, something nameless. For a moment you forget yourself. You are not you at all. You are simply a pulse in the ocean of devotion. When the song quiets, there is no silence, only breathing. Dozens, hundreds breathing together. A single body, a single soul. Candles flicker. Incense drifts. The night folds itself around the gathering like a cloak. Later, food is shared. Plates of sweet halwa passed hand to hand. Clay cups of water offered freely. No rank, no title. Sultan and servant eat alike here. Only hunger matters. Only sharing heals it. Children run barefoot. laughing between clusters of devotees. Old men lean on staffs, their eyes shining brighter than the lamps. A saint's resting place is not stillness, it is movement, not silence, but song. Here, time loosens its grip. Hours pass unnoticed. The moon shifts, yet the voices continue, circling, climbing, dissolving into air. And you realize this is the Empire's secret heart. Not battles, not treaties, but longing. Love dressed in music, in surrender. At dawn, the first call to prayer floats over the city. The lamps are still burning, the devotees still swaying, and you, with your head bowed, feel lighter, as though a burden you never named has quietly been lifted. You leave the dargah slowly, rose petals sticking to your clothes. Behind you, the Kawali rises once more. Ahead, the sky blushes with morning. The Empire wakes. But something within you has already awakened. The journey has been long, but not hurried. You have walked through gardens that bloomed only under secrecy. You have tasted sherbets chilled with snow from distant peaks. You have stood in marble halls, wandered through courtyards fragrant with roses, sat beneath painted ceilings where stars were trapped in pigment, and through it all a question has followed like a shadow. Why would an emperor wear rainwater in a ring? Tonight, at the quiet edge of your wandering, the answer finally reveals itself. Not in the clash of armies, not in the signing of treaties, but in the smallest of things. A single drop of rain. You sit alone in the Zenana courtyard. The others have long gone to sleep. The lamps flicker, casting golden tremors across carved screens. A fountain gurgles softly, its water breaking into circles that widen, fade, return. Above you, the night sky is velvet. Clouds drift lazily, like scraps of forgotten silk. And then, a sound. Software, barely there. A drop of rain falling. Then another, and another. You extend your palm. Coolness settles into your skin. The drops gather, glittering like tiny jewels. You imagine Jahangir doing the same centuries ago, cupping his hand, catching the sky's fleeting gift, and you see him lift it, press it into a ring of crystal, as though trying to hold eternity. Because an emperor can command armies, but not the clouds. He can summon riches, but not the tenderness of rain. The ring was never about possession. It was about remembrance, about holding a moment too delicate to last. You breathe deeply. The scent of earth after rain rises, rich and dark. It settles into you like a lullaby. Somewhere in a nearby chamber, a lull of music still lingers. A flute tracing slow notes into the air. Somewhere else, a guard yawns, his spear tapping lightly against stone. The Empire does not sleep, but it drifts. It dreams. And you too drift with it. You recall the saint's songs, the emperor's gardens, the painter's careful strokes, the perfumes sealed in crystal, the silks dyed in secret shades. All of them were drops. Drops of rain caught for a moment, cherished, then released. The empire itself was nothing more than rain, falling, shining, vanishing into earth. Yet what a beauty it left behind. The courtyard grows cooler. Rain falls steady now, not in torrents, but in whispers. It dapples the pool before you. Each drop a circle, a ring, expanding, then dissolving into stillness. The image is clear. Every life, every empire, nothing more than circles in water. Here for a breath, gone before dawn. And still, how lovely the pattern is while it lasts. You close your eyes. The rain taps gently on your skin. Your breath slows. The fountain song blends with the skies. And somewhere in that blending, you understand. The ring was not a jewel, It was a reminder to live as if every drop matters, to remember that even emperors are cradled by the same rain that touches your hand now. The lamps dim, the rain hushes, and your own thoughts soften, like silk folding into shadows. Sleep comes quietly, without struggle, a gift, like rain, like the empire's forgotten gardens. You are not leaving the story, you are carrying it with you, each detail a drop resting gently in your ring of memory. And so, as the empire's night deepens, as dawn waits silently beyond the horizon, you surrender, not to history, not to memory, but to rest. The rain continues to fall, soft, endless, forgiving, and you are already dreaming.